The arrival that changed everything. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled the Outer Rim for 3,000 years. Their massive dreadnoughts, each the size of a small moon, had never met resistance they couldn't crush. Fleet Admiral Vexter stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching sensor readings with growing confusion. "Sir, the unknown vessels are peculiar," reported his tactical officer, a 6-armed Zephyrian named Crixtel. "They're small, oddly shaped, and their energy signatures make no sense." Vexter's 4 eyes focused on the display. 7 human ships had emerged from hyperspace near the contested Kepler 442 system. Unlike the angular, intimidating designs of Zephyrian warships, these vessels looked almost organic. The lead ship appeared to be shaped like a massive fish, complete with fins that seemed to flutter in the void. "Are those ... decorations?" Crixtel asked, zooming in on one vessel that appeared to have racing stripes and what looked suspiciously like flame decals. Captain Marcus, Bulldog, Rodriguez of the U's Laughing Hyena, was having the time of his life. His ship, designed by his eccentric engineer Zoe Winters, was indeed shaped like a grinning hyena. The other vessels in his small fleet were equally unconventional. The rubber duck looked exactly like its namesake. The flying taco was shaped like, well, a taco, and the disco ball was a sphere covered in reflective panels. "Captain, we're being hailed by what appears to be their flagship," reported Communications Officer Jake Patches Patterson, trying to keep the laughter out of his voice, as he watched the massive, overly serious Zephyrian vessel approach. "Put them through, Patches. Let's see what these party crashers want." The main screen flickered to life, revealing Admiral Vexter in all his intimidating glory. His dark purple skin, multiple eyes, and ceremonial armor made him look like something from humanity's worst nightmares. "Unknown vessels, you have entered Zephyrian space without authorization. Surrender immediately or face destruction." Marcus leaned back in his captain's chair, which was shaped like a reclining dog bed. "Hey there, big guy. Name's Marcus. Love the whole scary emperor thing you've got going on. Very theatrical. We're just passing through to deliver some supplies to the colonists on Kepler 442b. Vexler's eyes narrowed. "You mock the Empire?" "Mock? No way. I'm genuinely impressed. How long did it take to polish all that armor? Must be a pain to maintain." The Zephyrian crew exchanged confused glances. In 3,000 years, nobody had ever complimented their maintenance routine during a threat display. "You will comply with Imperial law and submit to inspection," Vexter declared, but his voice carried less conviction than before. "Sure thing, Admiral. But fair warning, our ships might not be what you're expecting. We humans have unique design philosophies." As the Zephyrian boarding shuttles launched toward the human vessels, Marcus turned to his crew with a grin that matched his ship's design. "All right, everyone. Time to give our new friends the full human experience. Zoe, initiate protocol whoopee cushion." The bridge erupted in anticipation. This was going to be interesting. The boarding party gets more than they bargained for. Zephyrian boarding shuttles approached the human vessels with military precision. Assault Commander Vecnol led the first wave, his elite stormtroopers, armed with plasma rifles and neural disruptors. They had boarded thousands of ships throughout their careers, and this would be no different. "Remember," Vecnol growled through his comm unit, "these primitives may use tricks. Stay alert." The shuttles docked with the Laughing Hyena and Rubber Duck simultaneously. The airlock doors hissed open, and the Zephyrian warriors stepped inside, expecting to find cowering humans or desperate resistance. Instead, they found something that broke their brains. The Laughing Hyena's corridors were lined with soft, bouncy padding in bright colors. Cheerful music played from hidden speakers. specifically a polka version of the chicken dance. The ceiling was covered in mirror balls that cast dancing lights everywhere, and the floor seemed to be made of some kind of springy material that made walking feel like bouncing. "What in the name of the void is this?" Vecchino muttered, trying to maintain his intimidating posture while bouncing slightly with each step. His squad spread out, but every door they opened revealed something more bizarre. One room was filled entirely with inflatable furniture. Another contained what appeared to be a ball pit with floating holographic fish swimming through it. A third room had gravity reversed, causing two stormtroopers to float helplessly against the ceiling while elevator music played. "Sir," one of his soldiers reported, "the walls appear to be giggling." Indeed, the corridor walls were making soft chuckling sounds every time the Zephyrians touched them. Motion sensors had been programmed to trigger random sound effects. Whoopee cushions, cartoon bowings, and occasionally the sound of a rubber duck squeaking. Meanwhile, on the rubber duck, the boarding party was having their own surreal experience. Chief Engineer Zoe Winters had outdone herself with this ship's defense systems. The corridors were filled with soap bubbles that popped with tiny fireworks displays. The gravity kept shifting directions every few seconds, causing the heavily armored Zephyrians to tumble around like confused beetles. "Alert, alert," announced the ship's AI in a voice that sounded suspiciously like a cartoon chipmunk. "Uninvited guests detected. Initiating tickle protocol." Mechanical arms extended from the walls, equipped with feathers that began tickling the invaders mercilessly. The proud Zephyrian warriors, who had struck fear into the hearts of dozens of alien species, found themselves giggling helplessly as they tried to swat away the tickling devices. Back on the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Vexter watched the live feeds from his boarding parties with growing bewilderment. "Crystal, are my warriors ... are they laughing?" "It appears so, sir. The humans seem to have weaponized." "Joy?" On the Laughing Hyena, Captain Rodriguez was monitoring the Zephyrian progress through security cameras, tears streaming down his face from laughter. "Patches, are you getting this recorded?" The big purple guy in the fancy armor just slipped on a banana peel. An actual banana peel. "Zoe, you're a genius." "Thanks, Captain." Zoe called from the engine room. "Wait until they reach the puppy room." The puppy room was exactly what it sounded like. A chamber filled with holographic puppies that would jump on the intruders, lick their faces, and generally overwhelm them with cuteness. The Zephyrian warriors, trained to fight the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy, had no defense against weaponized adorableness. Within an hour, both boarding parties had been completely incapacitated by confusion, laughter, and an overwhelming sense of absurdity. They were gently guided to the ship's lounges, where they were served hot chocolate and cookies while watching old Earth comedy movies. "This is impossible," Vecchino muttered, unconsciously petting a holographic golden retriever that had curled up in his lap. "I don't understand," admitted one of his soldiers. "Are we prisoners? Are we guests? Are we having fun?" The answer, surprisingly, was all three. The Empire's confusion reaches new heights. Admiral Vexter paced the bridge of the Eternal Dominion like a caged predator. His boarding parties had been gone for 3 hours, and their last transmissions had been ... disturbing. Reports of weaponized entertainment and aggressive hospitality made no sense in any military context, he understood. "Sir," Quickstall reported nervously, "Commander Vecchino is requesting ... more hot chocolate." "More what?" "It's apparently a warm beverage made from something called cocoa beans. His entire squad is. They're asking for recipe instructions." Vexter's largest eye began to twitch. In 3 millennia of conquest, no boarding party had ever requested recipes from their targets. "Open a channel to the human commander," he ordered through gritted teeth. Captain Rodriguez appeared on screen, still grinning, now wearing what appeared to be a ridiculous hat made of fruit. "Admiral, how's it going? Your boys are having a blast down here. Want to come over and join the party? Release my warriors immediately. Release them? Buddy, we've been trying to get them to leave for the past hour. They're having the time of their lives." Big guy with the tentacle beard just asked if we sell franchises. This was true. Assault Commander The had become fascinated with the human concept of fun and was seriously considering opening a recreational facility on the Zephyrian homeworld. "This is preposterous. You're holding Imperial forces against their will." "Actually," came a new voice over the comm, "we're not being held against our will." Admiral Vexther's face went pale. "The report your status immediately." "Sir, I'm learning to juggle. These humans have remarkable entertainment technologies. Did you know they have entire art forms dedicated to making people laugh?" In the background, Zephyrian warriors could be heard laughing and cheering. Someone was apparently winning at something called Pin the Tail on the Donkey. "We're sending over an official diplomatic shuttle," Rodriguez announced. "No weapons, no tricks, just a proper meet and greet. Your folks seem to think this whole shooting first, asking questions later approach might be a bit outdated." 2 hours later, Admiral Vexther found himself aboard the Laughing Hyena, sitting in a room that defied every principle of military architecture he'd ever learned. The walls were soft and curved, the furniture was comfortable, and the lighting was warm and inviting. Most disturbing of all, he was relaxed. "So," Captain Rodriguez said, offering him a cup of something that smelled incredible, "want here?" "About our actual mission here?" Vexther accepted the cup suspiciously. "Your mission?" "We're delivering medical supplies to the colonists on Kepler 442b. They've got a nasty outbreak of Rigelian flu, and we've got the cure. The supplies are in our cargo holds. You're welcome to inspect them." Chief Medical Officer Dr. Samantha Doc Kellerman stepped forward with a tablet. "We've also got emergency food supplies, water purification equipment, and a batch of entertainment systems. Apparently, being sick is boring, so we thought we'd cheer them up." "You're helping them?" "Of course. That's what humans do. We help." Vexther stared at the tablet displaying the medical supplies. "But this system is in contested space. The Empire has claims here. So do the colonists. They've been here for 50 years, and they're not hurting anyone. Why not just let them stay?" For the first time in his career, Admiral Vexther found himself questioning the Empire's policies. Around him, his warriors were engaged in friendly conversation with human crew members, learning about Earth culture and sharing stories of their own worlds. "This is most irregular," he muttered. "Yeah," Marcus agreed, "but it's a lot more fun than shooting at each other, don't you think?" The Admiral had to admit that it was. When laughter becomes a diplomatic tool, the next morning, Admiral Vexther found himself in an unprecedented situation. For the first time in Zephyrian military history, an Imperial fleet was engaged in what humans called a cultural exchange rather than a battle. Rodriguez had convinced him to allow the human convoy to continue to Kepler 442b, but with Zephyrian escorts to ensure proper documentation of the humanitarian mission. In reality, Vexther was curious to see these mysterious humans in action. "Captain," reported Lieutenant Zara Sunshine Martinez from the Flying Taco, "we're approaching the colony. They're hailing us." The main screen showed a tired-looking human woman with dark circles under her eyes. Behind her, several colonists could be seen lying on makeshift beds, clearly suffering from the flu outbreak. "Please identify yourselves," the woman said weakly. "I'm Governor Patricia Wembley of New Haven Colony." "Governor, this is Captain Rodriguez of the relief convoy. We've got your medicine, plus some extras to help with morale." Governor Wembley's eyes filled with tears. "Thank God. We've lost 12 people already, and we're running out of basic supplies. Not anymore, Rodriguez said firmly. We're also bringing some new friends. Don't worry about the big scary ships. They're with us. Admiral Vexter watched with growing amazement as the human ships coordinated a relief effort with military precision. Despite their ridiculous appearances, the crews worked with remarkable efficiency. Medical supplies were sorted and distributed. Within hours, the disco ball deployed portable hospitals that assembled themselves automatically. The rubber duck began purifying the colony's water supply. Most impressive was the psychological relief effort. The humans had brought entertainment systems, games, books, and even live performers. Within hours, the colony had transformed from a place of despair to something resembling a festival. Sir, Crickstall whispered to the Admiral, our cultural analysis teams are. They're requesting permission to participate in something called karaoke. What's karaoke? Apparently, it involves singing badly and having fun doing it. Dr. Kellerman approached the Admiral with a tablet showing the colony's medical status. We've managed to treat 90% of the flu cases. The rest should be recovered within a week. But I wanted to show you something interesting. The tablet displayed medical readouts showing dramatically improved recovery rates compared to standard treatments. What's the difference? Vexter asked. Laughter, Doc replied simply. Humans have known for centuries that positive emotions boost immune system function. When people are happy, they heal faster. Your people seem to have the same physiological response. Indeed, several Zephyrian warriors who had been exposed to the flu during the boarding incidents had recovered remarkably quickly after spending time in the human ship's entertainment facilities. This is remarkable, Vexter admitted. The Empire's medical protocols make no allowance for emotional well-being. That's where you're missing out, Rodriguez said, joining the conversation. Health isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about making people feel good about being alive. Over the following days, the Zephyrian crew found themselves drawn into the colony's recovery efforts. They helped rebuild damaged structures, learned human games, and even participated in what humans called movie nights, communal viewing. Of entertainment programs, Assault Commander Thekanol had become particularly fond of human comedy and was attempting to create his own jokes with mixed results. Why did the plasma rifle cross the corridor? He asked a group of colonists. Why? They replied, playing along. To get to the other side. The humans laughed politely, while Thekanol beamed with pride at his comedic success. Admiral, Crickstall reported privately, I'm receiving urgent communications from Imperial Command. They're demanding to know why we haven't conquered this system yet. Vexter looked around at his warriors, who were teaching human children Zephyrian counting games while learning Earth nursery rhymes in return. Tell Imperial Command that we're conducting an extended cultural assessment. The situation is complex. Sir, how long can we maintain this deception? As long as necessary, Vexter replied, watching one of his most decorated warriors laugh helplessly at a human magic trick. Something tells me the Empire is about to learn a very important lesson about the power of making friends instead of making war. The Empire learns to laugh 3 weeks later. Admiral Vexter stood before the Zephyrian High Council via holographic transmission, preparing to deliver the most unusual military report in Imperial history. Honored counselors, he began, after extensive analysis of the human species and their methods, I must report that they possess a weapon unlike anything we've encountered. The 12 members of the High Council leaned forward with interest. Supreme Chancellor Vesaris, the Empire's eldest and most conservative leader, spoke first. Describe this weapon, Admiral. They call it friendship, Chancellor. It's devastatingly effective. The Council exchanged confused glances. Chancellor Vesaris' expression darkened. Explain yourself, Admiral, Your reports have been ... irregular. Honored. Counselors, the humans have done something unprecedented. They've defeated our forces without firing a single shot. They've turned our most elite warriors into enthusiastic cultural ambassadors. And they've accomplished this through the strategic deployment of joy, laughter, and genuine care for others' well-being. Behind him, the holographic display showed footage from the past 3 weeks. Zephyrian warriors playing games with human children, Imperial officers learning to cook human food, and most shocking of all, his own tactical staff performing something called synchronized swimming in the colony's recreation pool. "This is madness," growled Counselor Vexmara. "You've been compromised by alien influences." "Have I?" Vexter asked calmly. "Let me show you the real results of our cultural exchange." The display shifted to show detailed reports. 0 casualties in the Kepler 442 system. Complete resolution of the flu outbreak. Increased agricultural production. And most remarkably, voluntary technological sharing between the colony and the Imperial fleet. The humans have freely shared their medical advances, their entertainment, technologies, and their agricultural techniques. In return, we've shared our shield technology and navigation systems. Both cultures have become stronger through cooperation rather than conquest. "Preposterous," Chancellor Vexaris shouted. "The Empire conquers. We do not ... cooperate." "With respect, Chancellor," Vexter replied, "perhaps it's time the Empire learned to evolve." The transmission was interrupted by laughter from the background. The Council watched in horror as Imperial soldiers could be seen engaging in what appeared to be a food fight with the human crew members. "That's enough," Vexaris declared. "Admiral, you are hereby relieved of command. Fleet Admiral Grixter will arrive within the week to restore order and complete the conquest of that system." The transmission ended, leaving Vexter alone with his thoughts. He wasn't surprised by the Council's reaction, but he was disappointed. He'd hoped they might be willing to consider a different approach. "Captain Rodriguez," he said into his communicator, "we need to talk." An hour later, the human captain materialized in the Admiral's ready room via hologram. "Let me guess," Marcus said. "Your bosses aren't happy about the whole friendship instead of conquest thing?" "Fleet Admiral Grixter will arrive with a battle. Fleet within the week. He's under orders to subjugate the colony and arrest my crew for insubordination. And you're telling me this because I've learned something important these past weeks. The humans aren't just better at making friends. You're better at making decisions that actually matter. You prioritize people over politics. Compassion over conquest." Marcus nodded slowly. "What are you proposing, Admiral?" "I'm proposing that my fleet officially requests asylum with the human government. We can't go back to the Empire, but we can help protect the colonies from future Imperial aggression." "That's a big decision, Vex. Are you sure your people are ready for that? Let me ask them." The next day, Vexter called a fleet-wide assembly. When he explained the situation, the response was immediate and unanimous. Every single crew member voted to leave the Empire and join the human colonial defense forces. A week later, Fleet Admiral Grixter arrived with 200 Imperial warships, ready to reassert Imperial dominance. Instead, he found the most unusual sight in military history. A joint human Zephyrian fleet protecting a colony that had begun of interspecies cooperation. "Vexter," Grixter's voice crackled over the comm, "surrender immediately, or we will open fire." "Grixter," Vexter replied calmly, "before you do anything hasty, let me ask you one question. When was the last time you laughed?" The question hung in space for a long moment. Then, from the human ships, came the sound of laughter, music, and joy, the sound of people who had learned that the universe was more fun when you made friends instead of enemies. This is your last warning, Vexter. No, Vexter replied. This is your first invitation. Come aboard, Grixter. Let us show you what we've learned. The laughter continued, echoing across the void, as the first shots of the Empire's strangest war were fired not from weapons, but from whoopee cushions. Empire would never be the same.